the usual voices have been loud in opposing the sort of cohesion, the EFF and some pockets of the ANC, basically suggesting this is fake unity. Is it fake unity? We'll find out in this episode of The Big Liberty Show. Hey guys, Big Daddy Liberty coming to you from the middle of Cape Town. I'm actually in the middle of Long Street right now, and I'm amongst thousands of South Africans.
Millions!
Correction, millions of South Africans who are essentially lining the streets here waiting to see their heroes. And I repeat that sentiment, it is their heroes. No matter what the politicians say in this country, no matter what the EFF suggest is fake unity, I see South Africans from across the spectrum here waiting to see their flag-bearing rugby team. And that's essentially the message, I think the sentiment, the mood that you pick up when you stand amongst the millions of South Africans who are here. But you must be wondering, what's Big Daddy Liberty doing here on a sporty type event? You know, you guys know I'm not very sporty, hashtag big men don't run. But essentially I want to talk to ordinary South Africans and ask them the question, what sort of leadership exemplifies who they are as South Africans? Is it a Siat Kolisi type leadership, or is it the sort of noise that we've heard come from our politicians, the likes of Abombuyise Ngozi from the EFF, who suggest that all of this is fake unity? EFF has been saying this is fake unity, we're actually an angry nation, we're divided, we can never be happy until we get back land. Guys, is that true?
No, it's not true.
No, that's not true. Not at all.
Are you guys just sort of putting this on like a nice little fake moment for the cameras? The moment I walk away, you're going to start beating each other up?
No.
Guys, as maybe a final question, talk to me about the values that matter most to you as South Africans. What sort of leadership do you want to see for the country? Is it the sort of Siya Kolisi, stronger together type leadership? Or is it the sort of divisive, angry political leadership that we've seen in the country so far? What matters most to you?
Strong and better together.
Yeah.
I could say strong and better together.
There is a school of thought in this country that basically suggests any opportunities, any development must happen along racial lines. Whereas I argue often that no, development and opportunity should happen because of disadvantage. In other words, I should help you not because you're black, but because you're poor and you need the help. What do you think about that difference? Which would you prefer? A race approach to things, which is what South Africa has always been, or a poverty-related and socio-economic focus to things?
I think it's a poverty, related that I'm referring to, not the racial approach of things.
I agree.
Yes.
Politicians have been the loudest voices, basically suggesting this is all fake unity, we hate each other really, we're just doing this for the benefit of, the cameras and the world, and this gold beker trophy. Tell me about why you're here. Why does this moment matter to you? Are you doing it because of fake unity?
Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah, I think if you think it's fake, you should come here and experience this.
Absolutely.
Our country really needs this stuff, and I think politicians will just say whatever they need to say to get some votes and try to that's the only thing to keep them alive, really, is to divert us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe as a final thought, a final question. On this show, we are deeply opposed to the racialism, the constant needing to separate people on race, whether it's issues of policy or everyday issues. I want to put two scenarios to you, and you tell me which speaks to the real values of the country. On empowerment, for example, should we not be focusing on the socioeconomic disadvantage of people as opposed to the race of people? So, for example, if I were a politician, I would stand in a pulpit and I'll say, I want to help you because you're poor, not because you're black, not because you're white or you're colored. Which sort of society do you think we should be?
Yeah, you need to help those who need it, not based on any color or religion or race. It's just, if you need help, you need help.
What does this moment mean for you guys? I'm sure you guys are from here in South Africa, elsewhere in the continent, to be honest. It's not just a South African thing. What does this moment mean for you guys?
Well, honestly, I believe that this moment is huge for South Africa and I guess the continent of Africa as a whole, because the World Cup is not a joke. I mean, it means you're the best in the world.
Yeah.
literally the best in the world.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I believe that it's a huge thing.
And you raise an important point about the World Cup being, I mean, you're testing yourselves against the best in the world. Let me actually ask you a bit of a side question, see what you think. There's a big debate that rages here in South Africa and actually elsewhere in the world around how do you, as it relates to the Springboks, for example, what should we care about as a nation, as a continent? Should we care about results, being able to show the rest of the world that we can compete, we can be the best? Or should we care about things like race and, you know, where you're from and etc., etc.? What should we care about as a continent, as a society? Meritocracy and getting somewhere, or identity?
That's a good question. What do you think?
I think we should care about both.
Yeah.
We should care about achievements as a society.
Sorry, you just have a lot of people cutting our shot.
Yeah.
No, just come this way, Mbali, and closer.
Yeah, I think we should care about both. You know, both identity and both society as a whole. Because within a society, you do have individuals representing that society.
Yes.
So I think when we have people like Sia Khaleesi and Mapimpi and all of those representing black people, representing that we can actually do amazing things.
Yeah.
You know, because for so long it's been portrayed as that, you know, black people aren't as good as, for say, white people.
Absolutely.
You know, so having individuals represent the society as a whole, showing that we can do things together.
Absolutely.
I think it's brilliant, it's amazing, and there's no problem with that.
Quick conversation on the streets. The bus is coming, so my fat ass is going to be pushed out the street soon enough. So I want to keep this conversation going. So, quick question. You can see the thousands of South Africans, probably millions across the country, who've taken to the streets, super excited, super fun times. But there's that usual voice, isn't there, in this country that always tries to divide based on identity, race, gender, whatever. What sort of society do you think we should be? A society that's defined by the values that Sia Khaleesi articulated, that we're a stronger together country, or a society that Mbuyiseni Ngozi from the EFF described, where we're divided and this is fake unity? Who are we as South Africans?
No, I definitely think it's unity first. It's a real proud moment, you know. When they won, I actually shed a tear, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. You and I both, brother.
Wow, and when he gave that speech, more tears came down.
Absolutely.
And if we be like this every day of the year,
absolutely,
we would be better as a country. Everything would work out much better.
Yeah. One gets the impression that we really needed this as a country. There's been so much in the way of bad news. There's been so much in the way of just anger and divisiveness. Just one gets the feeling that we really, really needed this moment, didn't we?
Yes, definitely. We did. I mean, 12 years, 2007 lost, we won the World Cup. And some of the other sports wasn't so good, but this, I mean, even the soccer teams, the cricket teams came out, and you can see here, that's just a united front, like everybody, all races, all cultures, just came together and we're celebrating this.
Maybe as a final question, and thank you so for your time, you raised the issue, and I want to put something to you very quickly. I'm of the view that it's high time we as South Africans drop race as a way of looking at each other. It's about time we start looking at each other as individuals, as families in particular. I mean, I talk a lot about individuals, but really we're a family society, and that even our policies, whatever the policies may be, empowerment or blah, 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 should focus on families and individuals. What are your thoughts on that?
No, definitely. I mean, I honestly think we should look at each other as human beings, you know, and that is the best thing to do. I mean, it's not about where you come from, what do you do. if you respect me as a human being, I'll respect you as a human being. And that's just how it's supposed to be.
All right, the bus is coming. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy. Okay, so it's getting pretty wild. As you can see, people are streaming past. It's getting pretty crazy. The bus, I think, is coming up behind me. Maybe not yet, but this is the atmosphere. This is the mood. I'm going to ask Mbali to show you the rest of the crowd on that side, but that's the mood, right? That's the mood that South Africans are carrying into this. This is a very proud moment for them, and I don't think any EFF politician would stand here and try and tell these people that this is fake unity. This is not fake unity. People are having a good time. I will get the questions going a bit later, but for now, as cars are hooting, lots of excitement, I do not want to take this moment away from South Africans. This is what it means to be stronger together. This bus has gone by. You saw the pandemonium. We have some images of that. What does this moment mean to you? Is it, like the EFF described, fake unity? Really, we actually hate each other and we're just doing it for the buses? Or is it something that I think a lot of people have been desperate for and are longing to be the actual reality of, or rather the future of South Africa?
Well, I think this is a great moment. The South African economy is failing.
Yeah.
You know, we're losing jobs.
Yeah.
You know, there's crime being reported on a daily basis. People are dying. We needed something to lift up the spirits of the country. And for me, you know, this is incredible. I've never seen something like this.
Absolutely.
And, you know, all races, you know, uniting and celebrating the victory.
Absolutely.
You know, it's extraordinary.
I think we underestimate the value of joy, just a moment of joy, because our politics is so full of hate and divisiveness, and he shouts at he, points of orders and all that nonsense. But I often say on the show that that doesn't reflect reality. Reality is we get along, and where there's conflict, we resolve in that moment. Final question, a little bit of a political one, but I'll let you deal with it. This country has had 25 years. This country has 25 years of a conversation about race. Not to say that race isn't an issue, but race has filtered into everything. Policy, the language of our politicians. Yet, if you look at some of the polling and the data, South Africans are actually saying, how about we move beyond race when it comes to policy? And for example, a politician should stand on the pulpit and say, I want to help you because you're poor, not because you're black, or not because you're colored, or not because you're white. What do you think about that non-racial approach? Are we ready for it as a country?
I think the first point is acknowledging that we come from a history of segregation. And of course,
based on race.
Yeah, based on race.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't dwell there forever.
Yeah.
You know, at some point in time, we need to get things right. You know, but I mean, the starting point is acknowledging that there is that segregation. But having acknowledged that, I think, we should start mobilizing people and moving together, towards a future that we will all be proud of, a future that is uniting of everybody.
I want to interject because as a final question, because I want to put an alternative vision to you, and I want to see what you say, an honest view. Is it not time that we reflect, even in our policy, a conversation about it? What matters to me most about helping you is your socio-economic environment. So if you live in Kailicha, you live in a shack, you don't have a gas, etc., etc., I'm not going to help you because you're black. I'm going to help you because you live in that circumstance versus the other kid, the privileged kid, who may be black also, by the way, who doesn't live in that circumstance. Should that be the policy future of our country? We look at socioeconomic disadvantage opposed to race and other identity things. What do you think?
Of course, I think that's a great idea. We should look at the need identification, regardless of race. Of course, the past is there. We can't do anything about the past, but I think it's an opportunity for us to move forward and start addressing the real issues, such as opportunities.
Absolutely.
Regardless of the color, because but the need should inform the allocation of resources. Thank you very much,
guys. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this moment. I know I did. Cheers, guys. Again, you put it to ordinary people. What is the preference? Is it a continuing fixation on race and identity? Or do you actually say there's something bigger, there's something grander that we have as a country, and we need to move towards it in a non-racial way? That's the conversation I really wanted to have. It's the common sense South African, despite what some politicians and activist journalists, radio talk show hosts and others would have you believe, South Africans actually have a lot in common, and we all have a healthy dose of, common sense. Common sense which I now think government and politicians could and should use. Common sense that I refer to is actually reflected in the research. The Institute of Race Relations did a study they do every year. It's published this year under the Hope Report in 2019, and you can find that on our website at irr.org.za, where they ask South Africans, what are your priorities? Is it the race obsession that politicians seem to suggest it is, or is it other things? And indeed, 80% of South Africans broadly agreed on the major issues facing South Africa, and these were job creation, fighting corruption, better education, and fighting crime to be the top priorities of society and government. And on the issue of race relations, contrary to what politicians want, the majority of South Africans felt that race relations are now better than they were in 1994. And to me, that exemplifies what we saw on the streets as the Springboks went to every major city in this country to celebrate their success and their excellence. No one took a moment to go, yes, they achieved this because of race quotas. No, everybody recognized that they achieved this because of merit. Every single individual on that Springbok team was there on merit. And indeed, if you look at the research, the majority of South Africans want sport teams to be selected on merit and not on race quotas. Whatever your view is, and whatever your particular worldview is, surely, and I've put this alternative to the South Africans who I spoke to on the streets, surely you want to build something in a country really which is founded on, or based rather, on non-racial principles and ones which speak to issues and real people, and not the fake clown world of racial hatred and sort of the gnashing of teeth of racial nationalists in our politics. And you could see that. It is that real South Africa, that common sense South Africa, that I would argue we need to fight for. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of The Big Liberty Show. Remember, you can support my work by becoming a friend of the IRR. This is our crowdfunding campaign. You can do that by SMSing your name to 32823. An SMS will cost you R1. Terms and conditions do apply. Or hey, find me online. Support me online by setting up a debit order of R90 a month at irr.org.za/join. And you can support the work that I do and help me get around the country to meet more of you, our South Africans. Guys, thank you so much for watching The Big Liberty Show. I'll see you on the next one. And remember, never trust a commie.